Welcome to the QandA podcast. I'm your host, Sagan. QandA as in Q&A. This is a podcast that is going to be mostly question and answer based. I'll have some questions from the viewers, I'll have some questions from the internet, and I have an interview segment every time. Today, we have the creator of Black Baby, which I made my most recent creepy files on. Black Baby. We had an interview with them. Unfortunately, it's only over text, so I'm going to have to read it out to you. But yeah, this is the first episode. This is kind of going to be the format for all of them. Let's get right into it. Okay, so to start off, we have our interview with Santa Claus, the creator of Black Baby. And my first question I asked is, what inspired the game in the first place? And they said that he was learning Unity, and that is why he decided to make the game in the first place. I asked, what genre does he think Black Baby is? Obviously, I talked about how it is scary, so it could be horror, but he said, I put adventure on Itch.io because I thought that was the one that fitted it best. So he thinks it's an adventure game, which, I mean, it is. It's not. That's not out of the blue. That works. Then he said, then I asked, what did you use to create Black Baby? And the giant model. So what was the program you used to 3D model the characters? He said an old version of Make Human, which I talked about in the video, how it's you can use these different sliders to change Asian, Black, Caucasian, whatever it is, or the different like ethnic sliders, which is very weird, but it's used to give 3D models different features. And so my guess is that is why he decided to make it weirdly race based, which is kind of strange. I said that I asked, how do you approach level design when creating the game? And he says, no idea. So I guess he's just as confused as the rest of us. Then I said, do you expect the game to get a following? At first he didn't really understand what I said, but I elaborated a little bit. And essentially I was asking, like, when making it, was the intent to get people to see it and gain some sort of a following? He said, I didn't expect so many people to play it. I was just learning Unity and posted it. I don't even know why I posted it on itch. All right, my final question was, is there any lore intended when making Black Baby? And the answer is no. So all the theories people are coming up with, it is fun, but no lore was intended when creating Black Baby at all. There's no story behind it that is canon. All right, thank you, Santa Claus, for answering our questions. It was very interesting hearing from you because that game is very strange. All right, moving on. Let's get to the Twitter questions. Questions from Twitter from you people. All right, our first question from Twitter is Martin Walls at @smiles_bunny, who is a friend of the channel who made the Walton Files. Martin Walls asks, has any kind of content scared you to the point where you can't sleep? Not in a very long time. I've kind of become desensitized to horror. Not that I can't be scared, it just doesn't usually last with me. However, I remember the one piece of content that has done that was a few years ago when I first watched the Japanese version of The Grudge. That movie terrified me. It still terrifies me. And I remember when I first watched it, I literally had to sleep with the light on. It was very terrifying. And I played a lot of horror games back then, but it was still too terrifying. I definitely suggest watching it. It's just so weird and unsettling and creepy. There's not really a coherent plot. Things just happen, and that's what makes it even creepier. All right, the next thing we have is at meow on Twitter asks, why did you get mad at me when I pointed out that you looked like Slender Man? This is referring to a stream, and it's because clearly I am an overweight Asian man. You can just see by looking at me. People on SoundCloud will not be able to see, but as you can see on the video one, I'm clearly not a skinny white man. It's so clear. That joke for the video people, for the audio people, will literally not make any sense. Dottie Has Tweet asks, do you have any ideas for a horror movie? I actually do. Something's coming up pretty soon. If you remember that old game I made, Alphabet Lane, it might have to do with that. That's all I'm going to say for right now. Moving on. At Delta Delta Defix. I don't know how to pronounce that. Delta Man says, "Bro, carry me in Valorant. I've never played Valorant in my entire life." At Ethan, a bunch of numbers, asks, "What gaming platform do you use?" I have a Nintendo Switch. I had a Wii for a little while, but pretty much entirely it's PC. I have friends who have PlayStations, so I've used PlayStation a lot, but I've maybe played Xbox like 5 times in my whole life. Okay, at the Redstone Cree 1 asks, "Will you continue the FNAF ARG series?" I've seen some people asking about this, and the answer for right now is no. I do want to explain what the plot was going to be. Essentially, and I saw some people talking about how they were worried that maybe I was going to be involving Scott's family too much into it, and that would make him uncomfortable. The idea of it was going to be that all of this stuff is separate from Scott Cawthon, and then Scott Cawthon sort of stumbled upon this, and that's why he made the game. It's all an inspiration thing. Nothing was supposed to have actually happened to him, except that he saw a ghost at a real Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. That was essentially the plot. There was supposed to be a husband and wife, and the husband was a serial killer, and he actually was killing people at a Freddy Fazbear's Pizza that was in real life. And then the husband found out about, or the husband was caught, and then his wife kind of continued doing that for him, continued murdering people for him, but this time she hid them in the pizzeria, and then Scott Cawthon sees a ghost at the pizzeria, and that's what inspired the whole game. That was the basic plot, and the idea was to sort of reveal that through the next couple tapes. There's only supposed to be 1 or 2 more, but it just wasn't getting a lot of traction on my channel. I know some people would still like to see it, so I might come back to it eventually, but I just have other things that I'm more passionate about and would like to spend my time doing more. Yeah, so that's what is going on there. 8-Bit Babe, or at Candy Pop Bun, asks, "Well, for starters, how do you take care of your voice? Is there any warm-ups you do?" I pretty much do none. I probably should. Sometimes I'll drink water beforehand, but there are also times where I'll literally drink a glass of milk, which is probably the worst thing you can do for your voice, besides just scream for hours. And yeah, I probably should, but I don't do anything. Then at Stute Trooper 69 asks, "Will you ever make a fully 3D animated episode 17 of Alphabet Lane?" If you don't know, episode 17 is a very important aspect of the Alphabet Lane game that I made. No, because it would kind of just be gross. However, I am working on something with Alphabet Lane that you will be able to watch instead of play, so keep an eye out for that in the coming weeks. And finally, at Bizarre System asks, "What are the worst creepypastas you've ever read, and most importantly, what would you do to improve them?" Probably the worst one is Sonic.exe. I know some people have commented being like, "Bro, check out Sonic.exe," and eventually I did make a video, but it was not a good video. It was not a video saying that it was a good creepypasta, because it's not. And if I'm being honest, how would I improve upon them? Just don't make it about Sonic. Don't make it about, like, it's not, I'm sorry, the idea of a Sonic plushie appearing behind me is not that scary at all. It's just, I don't know if it was ever scary. And honestly, the idea of Sonic with hyper-realistic eyes is more funny than scary to me. So I would say definitely get rid of the hyper-realistic eyes. Now, if there was a creepypasta about some, like, a ROM of, I don't know, here is one way that you might be able to make it scary. There's a ROM of Sonic that when you download it installs a virus, and then people come to, like, track down your stuff, or someone starts blackmailing you. But it has nothing to do with real-life Sonic coming to kill you. That is just ridiculous and not scary at all. Okay, last question. I forgot to do this in the main recording section. So I was asked by at GHW1H1 what my favorite horror movie is. And It 2017, hands down. I love that movie. It's super fun. I'm not going to say it's the best horror movie, but it's my favorite. Okay, moving on. We're going to move on now. I'm kind of going out of frame here for a second, because we're going to look at some Yahoo questions. I did a show called Yahoo Answers a while ago, and it kind of went away. But these are some of the funniest and most interesting questions ever. And hopefully if with future guests, I can get them to answer a Yahoo question or two as well. It'll really depend on how I get those guests, like what their schedules are. I have a couple more lined up, but unfortunately for the most part, they are text-based. But I have some coming up that I haven't interviewed yet that will hopefully be non-text-based.
Satire warning for the idiots out there. These answers are jokes.
All right, so Anonymous asks on yahooanswers.com. They ask if Batman parents died. If Batman parents are died, then how was he born? Now, the obvious answer for me is that he was born in that moment, right before they died, and he scurried out of that alleyway and became Batman. He was raised by bats, as we all know, in the classic comic lore. He just did a little scurry, and he went, and he ran all the way into the Batcave and became Batman. So there it is. Let's see. The next question is, do you like Gregorian chants? I actually do. Here's my mixtape. All right, Anonymous asks, what does Stan BTS mean? Well, BTS stands for Boys to Silence. So, anytime a boy has a bad take, it says a stupid thing, you think, I wish they hadn't said anything. That's a BTS. That's a boy to silence. And Stan is clearly one of these boys that you're going to need to silence, unfortunately. Sorry, Stan. Thank you for listening to this very strange, unorthodox short-form podcast, a.k.a. QandA, as in Q&A. Tune in whenever the next episode comes out. I'm not sure. Currently, it's available on YouTube and SoundCloud. Check the links for my social media and my Twitch. And bye.